Hi everybody, my name is Chris Enriquez. You can follow me at Chris Enriquez Drums. This is my show, Age of Quarantine. Thank you to St. Vitus Bar for letting me do my show on here. And thanks to everybody that's been supporting both me and St. Vitus Bar. I work at Revolver Magazine, which you could follow at Revolver Mag. And I also am in the band Spotlights at Spotlights Music. That's who I am. But tonight is not about me. I just like to give my little intro. Tonight is about the best singer that ever lived. Yeah, I said it. My favorite singer of all time, HR, Human Rights, from the best band that ever existed, the Bad Brains. What can I say about the Bad Brains that hasn't been said already? They inspired so many different subcultures, whether it's fashion, whether it's music, spirituality. They just have had such a huge presence in the music world, from the underground still today to the mainstream. Hi, HR. How are you?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing so much better now that I'm talking to you. Thank you.
All right. Very good.
Well, I'm a little nervous. You're my favorite singer, and my favorite band is Bad Brains. So I appreciate this time that you're giving me tonight. And my name is Chris. I'm from Revolver Magazine, and we're just happy to see you. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Kurt. Glad to be here.
Awesome. How's
Chris?
Oh, it's Chris. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. So how have you been managing to get through this crazy pandemic?
Oh, well, I stay inside, and if I do go outside, I take my mask with me. And I'm doing all right, staying out of trouble, you know?
That's good. That's good. You guys have any Bad Brains masks? We got to get some Bad Brains masks.
No, not yet. We do have some PMA masks, though.
Oh, man, I got to get my hands on those. I'm going to spend the next hour or so just talking to you about your life, if that's okay with you. And we're going to take some questions from the audience. We're live right now.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to start by asking you, how's your health these days? It seems like you're in a good place.
Yes, Chris, I've been doing very good, very good.
And how about Dr. No? Is he doing okay too?
Yes, sir, he's doing all right. Dr. No's fine.
Awesome. Just want to make sure we love you guys, and you guys mean so much to us. So are you in Baltimore right now?
No, sir, I live in Philadelphia at the moment.
Oh, no shit. Okay, Philadelphia. Not too far from here in New York. What's it like out there when you go out during, obviously there's a lot of crazy things happening in the world. What's it like out there?
Well, Chris, although people are a little wild and different, I don't find their indifference any bother to me, and I've been gracious enough to put on some selfies and a few autographs, letting the kids know that we're alive and we're doing much better.
That's good stuff, man. You're keeping that PMA alive. Hell yeah. So I have a funny question while we're talking about location. You are most known for being a big part of the DC music scene and the New York music scene. This is kind of a silly question, and you can answer it however way you want, but which scene did you prefer back in those days?
Well, I prefer the underground scene. A lot of us were participating in the underground. We did some shows at Underground Arts, and before that, we was doing some concerts over at CBGB's, although they moved themselves from that into selling T-shirts. What we used to do at the Bad Brains was put on a lot of heavy metal, how do you call it, speed rock, um, speed metal, and a lot of us heavy metal, and a lot of us wanted to do something different. So we got the brains together, and on Monday nights they would have celebrations of different youths that were playing alternative music. So they asked us, would we want to play? And we said, sure, man, we'd love to play. And that's how it started, Chris.
Yeah, and that's you're talking about New York, of course, when you were
Yes, sir.
New York. Yeah. Did you guys actually live in the building that was on Avenue A? It became Brownies eventually, or was
Yes,
it?
sir.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's so fascinating for me, being in New York, walking around to these places, knowing that the Brains lived in there and made these legendary records. I love that. What's happening with the Brains these days? I heard there's some news coming up soon. Is there anything you can share or clue us in on?
Well, we did some shows at the Riot Festival and also the Grower Six Festival about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago in the summer, and that was in Chicago and California, and it went off pretty good. What's going on now with the Brains is Daryl. He's now working with his own jazz band, and they're called Human Rights. And Dr. No's been doing shows with himself and his uh, Dr. No band, and I don't know what I don't know exactly what they've been doing together, but we did do a show not too long ago at Daryl's beginning of his entourage of showing his avant-garde paintings, and that was pretty good. That was pretty cool. And what I've been doing is I've been focusing, Chris. I've been focusing on reggae music with a touch of rock and roll in it. We bring it together in a rock reggae rock reggae culture, and it's coming together. Roots rock reggae, and we got a brother named real good bass player named Freshie. Also, we have on guitar a brother by the name of Mr. Ezekiel, and on drums we have brother Adams Williams.
I love that. I've seen a lot of your solo shows, HR, and I was at that show that you were talking about with the paintings that were being shown. That was a really fun day.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Yeah, hell yeah. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your solo stuff a little later, but if we can go backwards a little bit and talk about the old days, we'll kind of go in order. A lot of your songs are still very relevant today. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. One song that comes to mind is Coptic Times. Do you mind talking a little bit about what Coptic Times was about exactly?
Well, what it was about exactly was there was some priests in Ethiopia who had said that they were kind of put it together from the old days. Back in ancient times, they had Coptic priests that a lot of them would go to Addis Ababa, and from Addis Ababa they traveled to Lalibela and Ahara, and also some places called Mascara and other cool prince provinces that were in existence over the years. And the youth came to me and asked me, am I a Coptic priest? And then I said, yes, I am a Coptic priest. And Chris, what we were doing was a sign of the times. It was a reflection of what they wanted to do. And we just got it together with I said I'd like to write something that would be relevant and equally as enthusiastic from the youths to the elders. And that's when I came up with the idea Coptic Times. And it meant a lot to some youths and some elders in Ethiopia. And we were bringing the bridging the gap and bringing what was known as the Coptic Times measure. And a lot of us wanted to do this song, Coptic Times. They come to me and they said, would you please do a recording called Coptic Times? And I said, sure, I would. And I sat down with the group and we all came up with different ideas. But it was a collective, not really my idea, but a collection of different views between me, Daryl, Dr. No, and EZ, Earl Hudson. And so we came together with that different view of Coptic Times, and that's what we got together on.
I love how your lyrics are very universal, and whether it was written in the '80s or the '90s, it still means something today. And I'd like to ask you, in my opinion, your lyrics were sometimes abstract, sometimes very direct, very self-reflective, socially aware, political, spiritual. Who were some of your biggest inspirations as a lyricist?
Well, some of my biggest inspirations were Stanley Clarke, Chick Corea, and Flora Purim, and also Michael Jackson, and moving to reggae, Israel Vibrations, Ross Michaels, and also a group called the Abyssinians. I don't know if you heard of them or not, Chris, but
I
they're
have.
all Jamaican bands. And you have heard of them?
Yes, because I actually I had a lot of great dub compilations, and I remember the Abyssinians being on several of those, and one of the bands that stood out to me.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that, man. Good news, positive vibrations. It was all about Haile Selassie. He was the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, conquering line of the tribe of Judah. And by the way, next week is his birthday.
I was gonna say that.
Yes, sir. It
Yeah.
sure is.
That's you know, the Rastafarian culture, I know, it is a huge part of your life, and so I mean, if you want, we can kind of go there right now since we're talking about it. Um, you had spent some of your childhood in Jamaica, but is it true that the Rastafarianism lifestyle, you adopted it later on? It was after a Bob Marley concert that you attended?
Yes, sir, it sure is. He played at the Kepler Center along with Return to Forever. And it was a phenomenal experience. I'd never seen an African brother with so much dreadlocks before. And I knew something was going on. I saw all these people having their long hair with red, gold, and green flags, red, gold, and green hats, and red, gold, and green shirts. And I wanted to find out more. I wanted to find out what was going on at the time. And a friend came to me and she said, well, you have to look in your Bible. And when you look in your Bible, you'll find experience and what Haile Selassie meant for yourself. And so that's what I did. I searched and searched and searched in my little Bible. And I looked and I found out the connection of the root of David and the message of the reggae. And through Bob Marley and through some other groups, I found out that Haile Selassie was the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. And that led me to a peaceful relationship within myself and within the audience.
And that was a huge inspiration on a spiritual level to a lot of other people around you, I think. Even though it wasn't necessarily the same philosophy, I know with the Hare Krishnas and the Cro-Mags, and a lot of people have cited that they had opened the door to spirituality because of your influence. Let's talk a little bit about that amazing Bob Marley experience, though. Were you there with the other Bad Brains members?
Yes, sir. I was there with all the members, Earl, Gary, and Daryl, and we kind of felt like I was working as a security guard in the parking lot, and they came to me and they said, "Come on, man, we heard about this dude named Bob Marley. He's playing at the Capitol Center, and you gotta come, man. Take time off." And they said, "Come on, you gotta see this, man. This dude is out there." So I went ahead and saw them, and I'm so glad that I went to see him. And this group was phenomenal. They just turned me on, man. I'm telling you, they hit the stage, and they were like nobody I'd ever seen or heard before in my life.
I can only imagine what that must have been like. It's Bob Marley's one of those artists that it's just you know, we see videos online, but we'll never know what it was truly like. Now, my question about that really is, I know that it had such a big impact on all four of you. Do you remember what like the conversations were like when you left the concert together?
Well, people would ask us, how did you feel about that, and what are you gonna do about this? And we decided to start a group that would be a reflection of the positivity that we had seen, and we came together in a group as together, and my father had said, well, go read a book about it. And so he led us to this book called Think and Grow Rich. And
Right.
Leon Hudson, my father, had worked in the Air Force for about 25, 26 years. And he just said, well, go check out a book and see what you can come up with, because in the early days, we didn't have really no equipment. We had to play on other bands' equipment. We'd show up and ask them if it was possible we could use their equipment to play on the stage. And they said, sure, man, go right ahead. And we go on the stage, and man, it was like ferocious. You know, these cats was blowing out everything, man. And I had the hardest time getting my voice together and playing with them, but I finally reached a momentum of speed. And man, I just gave it all the best I had, and we both did it out, and it came off really nice, really positive, Chris.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I would say that you guys obviously were always spreading positivity and also during a lot of crazy times. I mean, I wasn't around the scene in the 80s. I started coming out in the mid 90s, but I think that it's really interesting that a scene like the hardcore or the punk rock scene, which had a lot of violence, that you were always preaching a lot of positivity and all that. Now, I want to talk about your vocals a little bit because you, like you said, you were singing really fast and doing a lot of. You have a wide range. Did you do a lot of warm-ups with your voice before you would go on stage or in the studio?
Yes, sir. I did all inspirational and inspired by the angel of the Lord, and I would come up with this saying PMA, positive mental attitude, and I used those theses and those theories as a catapult to what we were doing. And I noticed that punk rock itself had been missing one specific uh, issue, and that issue was to be positive about what they were doing. So I came up with this attitude, positive mental attitude, and filled that gap that was going on in punk rock. And a lot of the songs, we went from jazz to punk rock. And a lot of the songs were inspired by the Ramones and the Dickies and groups like this. And they had a lot of influence to the band. And we listened to that music on 78 RPM. We speed it up on our tape players and record recorders, and that's how we came up with the vibration.
Oh yeah, right. I always love that story with the record player, and it was at the wrong speed, so it was kind of how you guys ended up playing so fast. But did you have to like warm up your vocal cords to sing like that?
Yes, sir. I surely did.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And now, I had a couple questions about your vocals and lyrics when you were in the studio. Is it true that when you were making Quickness that you wrote the lyrics to the entire album 24
Yes,
hours?
sir. Yes, sir. It took about 2 days, and they said, "Hey, Cat, would you mind playing on this for us?" And I said, "No, I don't mind. It would be a pleasure and an honor, and also a privilege for me to be playing with them and working with them on the songs." I listened to the music, and it was just inspirational. Them Cat had it together. I said, "Wow, listen to this, man. I'm gonna have to really sit down and work at this." And it took me about 2 days, but I held my ground. I took off from where they were going, and everything worked out.
Absolutely, that's one of the best records. One of my favorites. What, do you have? Do you write lyrics a lot, where you have books of lyrics kind of sitting around, or when you did all the Quickness lyrics, was that more like on the spot?
Yes, sir. It was on the spot. It definitely was created by diligence and determination never before existed by human beings. That those four brothers, including myself, wanted to do something that was hip, groovy. And we had heard of this saying, "with the quickness," and we decided that we take this slogan with the quickness and add it to music. And that's where we came up with this concept, Chris.
Amazing, amazing. When you look back, I want to talk about your solo records in a little bit, but when you look back at the Brains catalog, is there a particular record that you have the most fondest memories of making, and can you share some stories about that?
Yes, sir. I think the most incredible songs that we did, the most incredible song was Sacred Love. And the concept came off while I was doing some institutional how do you say, responsibilities. I had
Right, right.
gotten this incredible, how do you say, relay from the security guards and from the police guards. And they said, well, son, you're going to have to go on in and see what you can do about your life and straighten out your life. And I got on the telephone. I was talking to Anthony County, our manager at the time, and he asked us, would you be interested in trying to sing a song on the telephone and to the music? And I said, well, that's never been done before, man. Are you serious? And he said, yeah, Mom, we're serious. You can definitely do it. And I gave it a try, and that was the first take that ever had been done by a human being. I didn't know it was going to sound that way. I didn't know how it was going to come off because I could barely hear the music in the telephone. So I just sang from my heart and from my soul and from my mind and spirit. And everything came together at the last minute, and I just pulled it off. And it was a miracle what we had heard through the Spirit of the Lord. An angel of love came to us and just gave us the best news and said to me through a spiritual healing and through a message into how do you say it, into a relay that was going on with those entities being spiritual and positive at the same time. And that's how we did it, Chris.
It came out so beautiful, and that's one of the most legendary stories I've ever heard. I have to wonder if anybody has ever done that besides you. Probably not, but that's one of my favorite stories. Now, and Eye Against Eye is actually my favorite record, so I love that you decided to pick that one. What were the first songs, to go back a little bit, that Bad Brains ever wrote? Because I know some songs were with Sid before you, like Right Brigade, for instance, but what were the first ones you guys wrote together?
Well, I think the first ones that we had ever worked together on was Black Dots. And we had singles had songs on it like The Man Wanna Know Ya, but the Little Baby Will, and also this song called How Low Can a Punk Get?
Yes.
And we came together on writing this really hardcore song that never before had ever been actually played until we played it, until we pulled it off.
Yeah, that whole record is unbelievable, and I love how you can hear everything going on outside, because you recorded the vocals outside of the house. Is that right?
Yes, sir. We recorded some of the vocals inside this guy named Don Zentera inside his basement, and then we did the lead vocals outside in his backyard.
They tell a great story about that in the HBO special that Dave Grohl put out, where they go to DC and Don is telling stories and Ian MacKay's telling stories, and that's all the kids that you hear coming out of school and walking around. I love that, and it's such a raw recording. If you had to pick one song throughout your career that resonates with you the most today, would that even be possible to pick one specific one?
Well, I think that one particular song that we actually ever did was tuned by the Brains that we did, called if I can remember, it was called Black Dots, or it was on the Black Dots album, and it was crucially a song that we had never done before, but it was the first time we had ever did it, and it wants to tell me, I'm going to try to tell you now that it was a song about love and determination. I fell in love with this girl, and Earl did too, and it was about how the relationship of love could be turned into music, and what would we like to do with that music. And it was a song that I recorded later on a different vibration, but it was the first time we had ever recorded at that level of tunes. And we did later on a reggae song, and it was called the how do you say, the Prophet's Eye.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Your reggae career was, I mean, I love the records that you put out in the 80s. You know, songs like Shame in the Game and Rasta, those are classics in my opinion. You mentioned that you have some new material that you're working on now as well.
Yes, sir, we are. We do have some new tunes. We just put out a new album called, it was called Give Thanks. And we have on that album tunes like, how do you say, that were reggae tunes that we had regularly heard from people outside of the venues singing these songs that we had wrote. And one of the tunes was called Give Thanks, and another one was called Stay Close to Me.
Oh,
Which,
I love that song. That's a great one.
yeah, yes, Chris, it was a nice song and still is.
Yes. All your material holds up. And let's go back a little bit again. And I know we're jumping around, but you know, back in those early days, you were so incredibly animated. I know, you know, you had done some gymnastics and you were very athletic. Were there other frontmen that you would watch that inspired you, who had just crazy dance moves like that? I'm almost curious, like who you were watching that.
Yes, sir. I think one was Jimmy on in Murphy's Law. He came off pretty good, and also the brother named Toby, his songs that were put out by, what were they called?
He's talking about who inspired you when you were first starting out, not now.
Oh, you're talking about who had started us out firstly at first?
Yeah, like
Oh,
like
okay.
front men, they're like the dance moves and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess the front man was that one that we heard was George Duke, and he had inspired us into a group that called, well, I already mentioned Return to Forever, but there was another band, Weather Report, and
Yeah.
but it was the music that really inspired us, not the front man, because there were different songs and different sounds that people had came off with. That inspired us the most was the tunes that they were playing.
Yeah, Weather Report was fantastic. I love that you just mentioned that. Very cool stuff. And James Brown, I think I read somewhere, had a big impact, and he was very animated. Is that right?
Yes, sir. True.
Okay.
Yes, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I recently saw an interview that Daryl Jennifer gave, where he tells this amazing story about you back in the day, where you had taped yourself to a chair. Just stop me if this is not true, but
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. So you were in the chair taped to this thing, and the chair would fall down once in a while because you were still going nuts and very animated, and the roadies would come up and pick you up. And he has said that the reason you did that was because you had a hernia, but you still wanted to perform. Can you talk about that?
Yes, sir. I went to the hospital. I had been working acrobats with this school called Potomac High, and I was in 10th grade, and I wanted to continue on working with them, but the coach referred me to a hospital, and he said, well, son, you're gonna have to take time out because I've been doing the high hurdles, and I remember on the high hurdles, after I finished, I was walking kind of funny, and my coach said, his name is Mr. Harrison, and Mr. Harrison led me to a hospital which was on the Air Force Base, not too far from there, called Hickam Air Force Base. But that was in Hawaii. And I said, there's no way I could fly all the way to Hawaii and do this. Well, my doctor, who had been working with a lot of kids, said, well, try out Andrews Hospital, and they'll be able to help you out. And so I knew that I had hernia. And the doctor said, well, you're going to have to settle down, young man, and take it easy. And that's when I played with the brains, and I decided to do just that. And I had them tape my arms and legs together with the seat, the chair, and I did it anyway, but it was a day of rest for me.
Wow, that's amazing. I don't know if there's any video footage of that anywhere, but it's a great story, and I'm so glad that it's actually true, and that you could give us some clarity on it. I want to ask you a little bit about what's going on in the world today and how you feel about everything. And back in the day, I would imagine in the 70s and 80s, it was probably tough for you guys. In the punk rock scene, like did you experience a lot of fights with the Nazi skinheads and all the white supremacists, or did they leave you guys alone? Like, what was it like back then?
Oh, well, pretty much they said if we wanted to do shows with them, we'd have to change up a little bit of our style of music. And I said, well, if you guys don't mind us playing in your venues, then we won't mind you. We won't mind playing in their venues. And so they said, no, it's okay, long as you keep positive about it. And when we went, they were a little bit amazed at what the group was playing, and they asked us, well, are you guys for real? Come on, man, tell us what's going on. And we said we had to put it in music to let them know. And that's just what we did, Chris.
So was it violent at times when you would go on the road and encounter different types of people, or were you pretty lucky to avoid that kind of trouble?
Yes, sir. It was alarming to them, and a couple of times we did experience some conflicts with the audience. But later on, we figured out that through playing reggae music, we could calm them down. With with in the youth, they wanted us to play fast music and make it faster, but we said, well, we'd like to play something faster, but the Lord in heaven wants us to play reggae, and that's what we did.
I love that you guys would do that, and that explanation is fantastic. To calm everyone down once in a while during the show, I think is amazing. What's your opinion on everything going on in the world today with the Black Lives Matter movement? How do you keep the PMA while everything is so messed up right now?
Well, Chris, what we do is we do a reflection of what's happening with these youths, and we do some investigating and try to find out from both sides, Black Lives Matter and also the right-wing sides of what's going on. And a lot of the interpretations that they gave us was through the media and through the social media, and a lot of times the reports that we heard from the computer showed us that both sides wanted to try to come together with what was going on. But a lot of it was a lot of riots that were being said that was happening. And right here in Philadelphia, they had some speakers who found it a little bit controversial that these young men were being assaulted and even put to the test of, how do you say, not reinforcement, but being, how do you say, assaulted by the
Right.
Individuals who were into the responsibility of locking people up when they lose
Right.
their minds and when they go out of their out of the norm, and their responsibilities just seemed a little bit outrageous to some people. And they said, oh, come on, man, we don't think that you officers should take advantage of these poor young men that were really trying to keep their lives together. But the the Lord works in mysterious ways, and we really don't know how to deal with it other than to let them know that Black matters, Black lives do matter, and that was it. I couldn't say what more is going on with this situation, but some of the groups or some of the members in the police force were arrested, and they started working out a brand new force of people in Minneapolis. And the police force was stepped down, and closed down, and they began to work with more of a civilization or civilized individuals who were in the society of being civil patrolled. And they decided that the police station would be shut down, and these civil patrol people would then take the matter of their lives into their own hands, but being official about everything.
Absolutely. And you and the brains and everybody that you've made music with have always been fighting the good fight for so long. I can't believe we're still trying to fight the fight right now, but you gave us a lot of a great soundtrack for decades to get us through some hard times, and also try to remind us to keep a positive attitude throughout all the insane times as well. So thank you for that. And so I want to switch to something a little more positive on that note. You know, obviously there's a lot of negativity happening in DC, but let's talk about something positive. Have you heard a rumor? There's rumors going around that they want to change the name of the Washington Redskins team, and they're saying that they could be calling it the Washington Bad Brains. Have you heard that?
No, I never heard that one before, but I did hear that there were some ball players that had changed their mind from playing in the institution of the um, Red Minds lyrics, and they wanted to take time out and be with their family, and they stood firm in the knowing of the Redskins being their opposite of what they wanted life to be like. So they decided they didn't want to work anymore in the Redskins. And it's kind of bad. What happened was because it eventually led to their release of this position, and they then went on to start their own group called the I don't know about this, but the Bad Brains, I have never heard that one before.
Yes, it's true. There's people
Yeah.
commenting right now. There's actually a bunch of pictures floating around of the football helmet, and it says Washington Bad Brains. You should look
Oh,
it up.
boy.
That would be
Oh,
amazing.
man, that sure sounds like an amazing thing to do.
Yes, it would be a great way to fight racism by having the name changed to Washington Bad Brains. Great way to keep the PMA. Let me ask you, when the world gets back to normal again, whatever that means, what's the first thing that HR wants to do?
Well, when the world gets back to where it belongs, uh, peacefully, what we like to do is do a little traveling together with the group again, or if I have to start with my own group, I'd like to do just something that would really touch the lives of mankind so that they could learn that war is not the answer, but peace is, peace and love.
Absolutely. I love that. And what is, this is a very deep question, but I know that a lot of the peace and love and the positive attitude that you have is from the Rastafarian culture and lifestyle. If you could talk about what Rasta means to you.
Well, what it means to me is Rastafari is the king of kings and the Lord of lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. Now, this is what people have got to remember, that he is the universal God of love, and love is God. And when we can come together in love and know that Emperor Haile Selassie did have a speech that he did in 1966, I believe. He went to Jamaica and he did this speech not too long ago in the United Nations, and it was it was explained to him, I mean through him, that the people in Ethiopia needed modern medicine, and they also needed a way to enforce to the people a more positive reflection of what was going on. Because 3 years earlier, Mussolini had signed a treaty with the Ethiopians and with Haile Selassie, and then 3 years later he broke that treaty, and he began to shut down bombs and how do you say uh, radar,
Hmm.
ammunition, and also this how do you say gas. And these gases hurt the Ethiopians severely, and 1 million of them lost their lives. Then the Ethiopians put their foot down and said, no more are we going to tolerate this. And Emperor Haile Selassie then began to enforce his rules through the military of Ethiopians. And man, when they came out, boy, it was just incredible. You could have,
What are your plans to celebrate Haile Selassie's birthday next week?
well, our plans are just to mm, be with my wife and take it easy because she's a momentous woman. She's helped me out a lot. And so I'm going to share time with her probably. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank. I hear you there, Lori. Thanks for organizing this. Uh,
Welcome.
yes, absolutely. HR, you've led one of the most interesting lives I've ever heard of, and you're incredibly iconic. I think you're a living legend. Um, what is your feel? Do you believe in regrets, or do you feel that life is just, kind of, it's about ups and downs and things happen for a reason? What's your opinion on life as a whole when it comes to that kind of thing?
Well, we both, not only you and me, Chris, but others, do have to go through tests in life. But it's only a test, and it's only temporary. And what I'd like to say to people is not to give up, to remember that there is an answer to every conflict, a peaceful answer. And I know sometimes that it might have a rude interlude to it, and people don't really understand what's going on. But if they can just stand firm peacefully and not really take the law into their own hands, but know that there are individuals that will straighten things out for us, not to be violent or how do you say interracial problems, and allowing themselves to be just how do you say unlawful individuals. But remember that the law is there, and the law is to protect those people and to give these people a chance to do their work and do their job, and they'll find out just who is the ones that need correcting.
I feel you. I feel you. Okay, we got 15 minutes left. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that we've been talking for a while, but let's talk about music again for a second. Obviously, it goes without saying, you have inspired so many musicians. I don't want to ask you the same questions that everyone asks all the time, but do you pay attention much to new music at all, like newer groups that you enjoy that are inspired by you, whether it's reggae or hardcore or punk rock? Is there anybody that you can think of that you think is doing a good job kind of continuing the what you started?
Yes, sir. I think a young man by the name of Ziggy Marley is really pulling it off and getting it together. His brother Damian Marley and also Protege, they got a lot to say. And also Skip Marley, the grandson of these people. And they really got their stuff together along with Stephen. And they have a message that they want to continue on saying through uh, the works of Mr. Bob Marley. And those prophets and the organization of African unity in Africa has been exposed to us by Stephen Marley and Damian Marley and also Ziggy Marley. And like I said, Ross Michaels. It's very important that we catch on to that message and live peaceful, and also do a little investigating from the African points of view, and let's let the brothers and sisters in the repatriation of Ethiopians and Americans, and let them do their work in Ethiopia and in Ghana and in Zimbabwe and South Africa, where it's not really going on right now with them having their equal rights. And so someone's got to stand up for their equal rights. And that's what I'm so proud of and so grateful for, and honored, and find it a privilege that we can see the change now in our lives through these
Absolutely.
benefits.
Well, very well said, and I couldn't agree with you more. Well, as we kind of wrap things up here, I just want to ask you, do you have any final words, shout outs, or comments before we wrap it up?
Yes, sir. I wanted to say that the angel of the Lord is the basis of all of what we're doing, and they have created for us a new message, and that they're not mean or like out of this world, outrageously conceived by the movie Exorcist. That's just the TV, how do you say, movie side approach. But the ordinary praise of the Almighty God through Jah Rastafari, through Emperor Haile Selassie, who is the main basis of what's going on. And there's a book that you can find out called the Holy Bible. And in that book, you can find out through diligence, determination, that is a map, and it shows us one chapter at a time, if need be. And there is a map that shows us the connection of world peace. And through Jesus Christ's life and through other individuals who were who had wrote the book, like Saint Martin Luther and Saint Ecclesiastes and Saint Chronicles, and these saints, they really had a lot going on, and they turned us on, and the Holy Bible turns us on to this day.
Thank you for sharing that, H. You are a true inspiration, and like I said, made such a huge impact and positive impact on so many people for decades. I want to thank you for taking the time to do this, and I hope I get to see you perform live again, because we have we've seen you play so many times, and I don't think we ever thought we'd be in this place. So it would be a sad thing to not see you perform again, and we look forward to that day. And we also look forward to new music, and everybody check out the new HR album right now. You can stream it online and pick it up, and follow H on his Instagram for info there. Yeah, man, I never thought I'd get to see you face to face and say this, but hey, I want to send you a lot of PMA, my friend.
Right on. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, you take care and stay safe out there.
Okay, you too, my man.
Okay, see you on the other side.
See you on the other side. Peace out.
Okay, peace out.
All right. One heart.
One heart, one love.
One destiny.
All right. Well, guys, sorry for ending that a little early. I didn't want to take up too much of HR's time. I'm just happy that he made it and we got to have some conversations. If you missed any of that, you can go back. You go on YouTube in about a week. You should be able to watch the whole thing on the Revolver Magazine YouTube channel. In addition to that, on the St. Vitus Bar IGTV. Man, what an amazing opportunity that was. Thanks for spending your evening with me. Keep that PMA, and God bless. Peace out.